Deep, deep down in the ocean, there lived a bright little fish named Finny. Finny was not just any ordinary fish, he was a vibrant yellow fish with a heart full of curiosity and a spirit that shone as brightly as his scales. Finny wasn't just any fish, he had a unique charm that made him stand out from the rest. His eyes were large and expressive, always twinkling with excitement and wonder. He had shimmering scales that sparkled like jewels. Each scale reflected the sunlight in a dazzling array of colors, making him look like a swimming treasure chest. Finny lived in a coral reef bursting with color. The reef was a vibrant underwater paradise filled with corals of every hue imaginable and teeming with diverse marine life. Every day was an adventure for Finny. He would wake up with the first light of dawn, eager to explore the wonders of his home. He loved to explore the reef's hidden nooks and crannies. Each crevice and cave held a new mystery, a new story waiting to be discovered. He made friends with all the other sea creatures. From the tiniest shrimp to the grandest sea turtles, Finny was loved by all. Finny was known throughout the reef for his quick thinking. Whenever there was a problem, Finny was the first to come up with a clever solution. He was a clever fish, always curious and always ready to solve a problem. His inquisitive nature and sharp mind made him a natural leader among his peers. Finny's days were filled with joy and laughter. He loved playing with bubbles and racing with his friends through the coral mazes. But what truly set Finny apart was his kindness. He was always ready to lend a fin to those in need, whether it was helping a lost fish find its way, or sharing his food with a hungry friend. The reef community often gathered around Finny, seeking his advice and guidance. His wisdom and compassion made him a beloved figure in the underwater world. Celebrations in the reef were always grand, and Finny was at the heart of every festivity. His presence brought joy and unity to the community. As Finny grew, his adventures took him beyond the familiar coral reefs. He ventured into the open ocean, discovering new territories and making new friends along the way. Each new encounter enriched Finny's life, adding to his knowledge and understanding of the vast ocean world. He learned to appreciate the beauty and diversity of marine life. Yet, no matter how far he traveled, Finny always returned home to his beloved reef. The warmth and love of his community were irreplaceable. Reflecting on his adventures, Finny realized that the true treasure was not the places he visited, but the friendships he made and the love he shared. And so, Finny continued to live his life with a heart full of gratitude and a spirit ready for new adventures, always shining brightly in the reef. One sunny afternoon, Finny was playing hide-and-seek with his friends. The water was warm, and the sunlight filtered down through the waves, creating a beautiful shimmering effect. The young fish darted in and out of the coral, their scales glinting in the light. It was a perfect day for a game, and Finny was determined to win. He swam quickly, his small fins propelling him through the water with ease. His friends laughed and called out to each other, their voices echoing through the underwater world. They darted in and out of the coral, their laughter echoing through the water. The coral reef was a vibrant maze of colors and shapes, providing the perfect hiding spots for their game. Finny loved the feeling of the cool water rushing past him as he swam, and he felt a thrill of excitement every time he found a new hiding place. The fish were so engrossed in their game that they didn't notice the change in the water around them. Suddenly, a large dark shadow loomed over the reef. It was as if a cloud had passed over the sun, casting a dark pall over their playground. The fish stopped in their tracks, their laughter dying away as they looked up in fear. The shadow moved slowly, ominously, and the water seemed to grow colder. Finny felt a chill run down his spine as he watched the shadow approach. The other fish screamed and scattered. They swam in all directions, their movements frantic and disorganized. The once peaceful reef was now a scene of chaos and fear. Finny watched as his friends disappeared into the coral, their eyes wide with terror. He wanted to call out to them, to tell them to stay together, but his voice was lost in the panic. Finny froze, his heart pounding in his tiny chest. He had never felt so scared in his life. The shadow was getting closer, and he could see that it was not just a shadow but something much more dangerous. His mind raced as he tried to think of what to do. Should he hide? Should he swim away? He felt paralyzed with fear, unable to move or think clearly. He had never seen anything like it before. The shadow was unlike anything he had ever encountered in his young life. It was massive and menacing, and it seemed to be moving with a purpose. Finny's curiosity battled with his fear, and he found himself unable to look away. He watched as the shadow grew larger and more defined, revealing its true nature. The shadow belonged to a giant fish net, drifting slowly towards the reef. The net was enormous, its mesh glinting in the dim light. It moved with a slow, deliberate grace, as if it were a living creature. Finney realized with a jolt of horror that the net was designed to catch fish, and it was heading straight for his home. He knew that if the net reached the reef, it would trap all of his friends and family. Finney knew he had to do something to save his friends. He couldn't just stand by and watch as the net captured everyone he cared about. Summoning all his courage, he swam towards the net, his mind racing with ideas. He had to find a way to stop it, to protect his home and his loved ones. As he swam, he called out to his friends, urging them to stay calm and stick together. He knew that if they worked as a team, they might just have a chance to escape the looming danger. Finney took a deep breath and blew out a stream of bubbles. "Quick, everyone! Follow me to the old shipwreck!" The shipwreck was a maze of broken masts and torn sails, full of hiding places. Finney knew it was the safest place on the ocean floor. The other fish hesitated for a moment, their eyes wide with fear, but they trusted Finney. With a flick of their tails, they followed him as fast as they could. Finney led the way, his heart racing. He could see the outline of the old shipwreck in the distance, but the net was getting closer. As they swam, Finney racked his brain for a solution. He had to think fast, he had to outsmart the net. Suddenly, an idea struck him like a bolt of lightning. It was risky, but it was their only chance. "I have a plan," Finney said, his voice breathless, "but I need your help." Section 5, Luring with Light. Finney explained his plan. It was a long shot, but it just might work. The other fish listened intently, their eyes fixed on Finney. "We can use the reflection of the sun on our scales to scare the net away," Finney exclaimed. "If we all flash our scales together, we can create a blinding light." The other fish were hesitant at first. They had never done anything like this before. "It's our only chance," Finney pleaded. The urgency in his voice was palpable, resonating through the water like a desperate cry for help. The other fish, sensing the gravity of the situation, gathered around him, their eyes wide with fear and determination. "We have to work together!" Finney's voice echoed through the underwater world, a rallying cry that brought the fish closer together. They knew that their survival depended on their unity and cooperation. Each fish understood their role in the plan, and they were ready to execute it with precision. Finney took a deep breath and turned his body towards the surface. He could feel the weight of the water pressing down on him, but he was determined to reach the light. His fins moved with purpose, cutting through the water with grace and power. He closed his eyes and focused. In that moment of stillness, he could hear the rhythmic beating of his heart, a steady reminder of his resolve. The world around him seemed to fade away, leaving only the sound of his breath and the warmth of the sun above. With all his might, he angled his scales towards the sun. The light was their beacon of hope, a guiding star that would lead them to safety. Finney's scales shimmered as they caught the sunlight, reflecting it in a dazzling display of colors. The sunlight bounced off Finney's shimmering scales, creating a beam of intense light. It was as if the sun itself had descended into the water, illuminating the depths with its radiant glow. The beam of light cut through the murky water, a signal to the other fish that it was time to act. One by one, the other fish joined in. They positioned themselves around Finney, their scales catching the light and amplifying it. Together, they created a mosaic of shimmering colors, a living tapestry that dazzled and mesmerized. The water filled with dazzling flashes of color. It was a spectacle unlike any other, a dance of light and life that captivated all who witnessed it. The fish moved in perfect harmony, their bodies glowing with the brilliance of the sun. The net, confused and disoriented, drifted away from the light. Their plan was working. The fish watched as the net moved further and further away, carried by the currents and the power of their collective light. They had outsmarted the danger, and their unity had saved them. The sense of relief was overwhelming, and the fish celebrated their victory with joyous leaps and twirls. Finney and his friends continued to flash their scales until the net was nothing but a distant shadow. Finally, exhausted but safe, they swam back to the reef. Everyone cheered for Finney and his clever thinking. They were so grateful that he had saved them from the scary net. Finney was hailed as a hero, but more importantly, he was happy that he had been able to help his friends. From that day on, Finney's story was passed down from one generation of fish to the next. He became a legend, a symbol of hope and courage. And Finney continued to explore the ocean depths, always using his wit and courage to help those in need. He knew that even the smallest fish could make a big difference. Finney's story teaches us that even when we're scared, it's important to think clearly and use our brains. We can overcome any challenge if we work together and never give up hope. And remember, a little bit of cleverness can go a long way. Just like Finney, you can use your own unique talents and smarts to make a positive difference in the world.